Penguin Football Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Sal Guerrero. With me, as always, is former defensive lineman Kyle Stroh, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Hess, and former director of football operations Dan Kopp. And we have a special Youngstown State legend with us, Bryce Oliver, who is going to be introduced formally a little later in the show. We apologize. We missed last week. We will get you all caught up. We had to miss because Kurt is selling his house. If anyone looking for a house in Columbus, there are skunks in the backyard, but beyond that, it's a beautiful house. Sadly, Youngstown State loses both games since we were last on, 23-16 Illinois State, and a heartbreaker 37-33 to Southern Illinois Salukis. Bad visits to the state of Illinois for the Penguins. In the show, we're going to recap that week 10 and 11 and get you ready for Northern Iowa and get our week 12 picks. Weirdly enough, this is the last week of the season, and of course, we got to do an interview of legendary wide receiver Bryce Oliver. But before we do any of that, I'm going to turn over to Kyle Stroh.
Thanks, Sal. Once again, this will likely be the last episode of the season, or next week if we want to recap you and I. But however, every episode brought to you by Leiden Oil Company. So we always going to give a quick shout out and a big thank you to Paul and Laura Leiden, Paul Leiden Jr. and Jen Leiden, supporting the Penguins on and off the field for a long time. And Paul stands by his saying, feeling the best for success.
Thank you, Kyle. Let's transition. Over to Curdy.
Yeah, thanks, Sal. Tonight I have the incredible honor of introducing our special alumni guest, 2023 first team All-Missouri Valley Football Conference performer out of Dillard High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, University of Kentucky transfer. Quickly found a home here with us at YSU. Definitely was an electrifying player on an offense that was very explosive and led YSU back into the playoffs in 2023. We have tonight our leading receiver from a year ago, and now I can say without question, one of the greatest receivers in Youngstown State football history. For his career at YSU, about 3 seasons, had 147 receptions, 2,065 yards, and 26 touchdowns. Those 26 touchdowns ranked number 1 overall at Youngstown State history in terms of wide receiver record. He's a current Tennessee Titan who had 2 catches for 23 yards last week, been promoted to active roster and making an impact right away. High school basketball player who actually won, Bryce, correct me if I'm wrong, back-to-back state titles in 2016 and 2017. Yep. And according to his high school coach, which I kind of want to hear a little bit about this, his high school coach called him the Freak Machine. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have Bryce Oliver.
All right. Bryce, tell us what you've been up to, man.
Man, just honestly, just trying to soak all the stuff in that I got going on. Just taking it day by day, trying to get better every day, trying to stay prepared for sure. At the end of the day, man, like what I do is it's a job. You know what I'm saying? Like you work so hard, like growing up, trying to get to this point, and stuff switches. Like when you got to college, it's not like you don't get babied anymore. You know, you got the margin of error is so short. So just trying to stay up afloat and trying to stay ahead of the game and be prepared anytime the team needs me.
Understood. Damn.
Yeah, Bryce, obviously, thanks for being on the show, being with us. And in the NFL, it's crazy. We're all so proud of you. And I like to say, you know, maybe a little bit of that time at Uniserve a couple that summer before your senior year when you were working in the steel mill, telling people how it really goes. So, but it's just really cool to have you on here. And a question for me, just out of curiosity, what would be one thing when you got in the league with that kind of just totally blew you away? I mean, obviously, a childhood dream to be where you're at now, and maybe one thing that YSU, you know, maybe prepared you for during your playing time under Coach Phillips. So if those two things, the biggest thing that blew you away and one thing that maybe the program kind of taught you.
The biggest thing I think that blew me away, I wouldn't say it blew me away. It was just like kind of like a shell shock was like the guys are actually cool. Like the guys you see like in the media, sometimes like the media can portray some guys like as like jerks or something like that. But contrary to that, like they're really good guys. Like off the field, like they helped me out with a plethora of stuff I needed help with, whether that was moving or just anything like advice. But that's the biggest thing. Like guys are actually like really, really cool. Like really got guys you can go to their house and chill or just have a good time. Like they're really cool, really good dudes. And then I would say like the next question, I think Youngstown, I think Coach Phillips did a good job. Like with what we had going on, did a great job of like preparing me for the next level, especially like offensively. Like some of the play calls we ran last year with Coach Troy, it's the same exact thing we run here, the same verbiage and everything, like same concept. So I would say that was the biggest thing. And I think not to do myself this justice, I think I did a good job actually preparing myself with the extra film sessions with Mitchell and whether that was with or Coach JB or those some of the younger guys. I think I did a good job of preparing myself for this level.
That's great to hear. Thanks. Because, I mean, everyone knew about your work ethic. And I remember Coach Phillips sharing with us, I know myself that you were a film guy, man. You were in there studying, and obviously proof is you're in the league now, man. So congrats. And I think Sal, you're up, or is it Kurt? I think it's Kurt.
No, it's me. Yeah, Bryce, real quick before I get my question, I'm going off script. I'm sorry, but you kind of mentioned it, and just somebody that I've watched as a professional. I mean, what was it like being with DeAndre Hopkins for training camp and meetings and stuff like that? Like, because he seems to be all about business and one of those nice guys, and I mean, he's Hall of Famer. What's that like?
Man, D-Hop's a cool dude, great dude, man. I would say like we all know what he is on the field, but I think like what people need to get to know is like his off the field stuff, like he does off the field. Whether that's like getting the guys together, we would go out to eat like every Friday, like for like at a little lunch spot. Like he's just very like team oriented. You know what I'm saying? So I would say like people don't understand like the outside of the football aspect he has. He just put me on games of like some of the businesses he has. He has a couple of restaurants, I think, back in South Carolina where he's from. If I'm not mistaken, he has a lot of like investments he told me about, and that's the biggest thing. He just gives me like so much game, like what he does off the field. Because shoot, we all know what he does on the field. Like
Yeah.
the eye in the sky doesn't lie. You could sit there on YouTube and just watch hours and hours of film on him. So I think the big thing is like he's a big like mentor for the time like I had him when he was here.
Awesome, man. Thank you. So my question is a little bit kind of transition right back into yourself a little bit, just looking you up and learning a little bit more about you. It's kind of crazy about your life right now. The past 6 years, I mean, you go from winning, 2 state basketball titles in high school. You get recruited coming out. You had a knee injury. It looked like your senior year. You go to Kentucky, you play a couple years there, and then you come over here and have a Hall of Fame career at YSU. And now you're here with the Tennessee Titans. And the one thing I think that our viewers really want to know is like, what's that support system like for you as you make all of these transitions and you overcome this adversity and these hurdles? Who are those people in your corner and how do you manage all of that?
Definitely, I would start with my mom. Like, she's the rock of everything. She's held it down ever since. It hasn't even started since when I got to college. This stuff started when I was in Pop Warner or when I was in AA basketball. I just saw, like, her sacrifice so much time and so much effort just, like, to provide the support. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was always there. I don't think my mom ever missed, like, a game, like a AAU travel basketball game, or one of my Little League games, Pop Warner games, like in my life. Like the only one she probably will miss is like if we traveled all the way to California or something. I even think she went to California, but that stuff starts when you're small, man. She was always there from the get go. I think she's the rock, and then obviously I have like my friends. I think the biggest thing is that with my friends is like they always held me accountable, man. Like say if we're out on the game late, like they'll tell me like, man, it's time for you to get off. Like you got practice in the morning or you got this and that. I'm saying I think I have good friends that always held me accountable if I needed to do something or if I had anything going on. And then obviously, like you got coaches that plays a big part. I had a couple coaches throughout my life that have played father figures with me losing my father when I was younger. So I think just those three aspects, like all those three, like tie and correlate for my support system.
Definitely, man. Yeah, that's great to hear. Thank you for clearing some of that up, man. Go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, I sort of have a two-part question, so I'll just do one at a time, so we don't jam it all in. But as Kurt mentioned, you were initially at University of Kentucky under Youngstown native head coach Mark Stoops. You end up coming to Youngstown State. Tell us that journey. How did you go from Kentucky to Youngstown State? Who brought you to Youngstown State? How'd you end up being a Penguin?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, we had a cornerback, Keon Martin. He transferred out to Louisiana. He's actually a South Florida native, and me and Keon were actually were next door neighbors. Well, not next door, but up the street neighbors growing up. So we already knew about each other. I knew he was at Youngstown, and that was the main reason why, like, I felt comfortable coming to Youngstown. And then just, sometimes in your heart, that's the place where you need to be at. And then just the vibe I got from who was recruiting me then, Synagoga, Coach Josh Synagoga, shout out to him. Man, everything felt so genuine when I was just on those Zoom calls, contrary to all the other schools that were recruiting me, which were Power 5 schools, actually. So, but Youngstown just felt different, and I kind of didn't want to get caught up in like the Power 5 and having to do all that stuff all over again. So I just wanted to kind of make a name for myself and, change something around. That's what really ultimately got me to Youngstown.
Well, it worked out. It got you where you wanted to be. My secondary question to that is, real quick, as you know, my favorite coach in the Youngstown State staff currently is your receivers coach, Lonnie Barassa, who was on the team with us. And then my favorite coach when I was at Youngstown State had to be a Frank Bafano, who was with you at Kentucky. And I don't know, I mean, you definitely don't know this, but when Mark Stoops was at Florida State, I used to work for him in the summer. So I knew Mark Stoops pretty well. There was a few summers I worked for him, so I got to know him. Very similar personality to Frank Bafano, just so you guys know. Do you have any good stories to share about any of those three guys that's worth talking about? Because, I mean, if we had 5 hours, I could tell you a million stories about them.
I would say, well, first, let me start with Coach Stoops. Coach Stoops is a real, fired up guy. He can get fired up really. He starts to turn, he'll turn, real red. He'll get real fiery. I remember he snapped at me one time. He wasn't snapping. I think I went for a ball, and I was on scout. This is my freshman year. I was on scout team or something. I think I went for a ball, and I think the starting safety was who Mike Edwards. We actually just signed him in Tennessee, Mike Edwards. And I think I kind of yoked him down or something. He just chewed me out. He was red, and I'm young, so I don't know. I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to get my scholarship pulled, but I ended up apologizing. He said it was all good, and ever since then, me and Coach Stoops always had a good relationship. It wasn't. I never left out of spite or anything. So just in case anybody wanted to know that, me and Coach Stoops still have a good relationship. Coach Merrill's still cool, obviously, and Coach Eddie Grant, who recruited me. But I think Coach Stoops is a real good guy, man. He takes care of the players, definitely, especially throughout the back end of the season. It'll get to a point we're just out there in just sweatpants and hoodies. He knows how to take care of his players very well, man. Very stand-up guy. That whole staff is a real good staff. And then Coach JB, man, I can't tell you too much about JB, man. He hilarious. Coach JB is definitely the funniest coach I've played under 100%. But I would say with Coach JB though, he know how to mix it up between business and then knowing how to, how to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What you talking about? His waves or something?
No, he used to catch a ball. And this is his touchdown.
His move.
That's what he's doing when he scored.
Yeah.
Coach JB, man, he's hilarious, man. But he's definitely very detailed, and I think he definitely helped me big time helped me getting prepared for this next level for sure. Yeah,
I know it's your interview, but real quick on Mark Stoops. It was Florida State camp, and one of my jobs working for him was I used to check in the secondary, just do like roll call, then take the dorm room keys and make sure everyone's there before practice started. And I was about to do so. And then Jimbo Fisher, he called me Youngstown. Hey, Youngstown. He wanted me to, he's like, grab these 10 players, bring them to the stadium at Doak Campbell, because you do like a picture with Coach Fisher at the 50-yard line for camp. So, dude, he's the head coach. I'm like, yes, sir. Let me run over there. So I ran him over there, and I'm sprinting my butt off back to practice so I can do this roll call. And roll call is like way over. They're doing drills. And I see Mark Stoops on there, and like I completely let this guy down. He's like, so where the hell were you? How are we supposed to check these guys in? I was like, Coach Fisher, I don't give a shit. I was like, what? But like you said, about 5 minutes later, he put his arm around me, and it was water under the bridge. Like he completely forgot about it. But he gets fired up.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
he gets fired up. Anyway, go ahead, Cyril.
Bryce, we kind of touched on this a little bit, so we might, cover something we've already talked about here. But working from through camp, through cuts, practice squad, now you're on active roster. Kind of tell us how you stay grounded through that whole experience, moving from college to the NFL and not being too shell shocked, and when things don't go your way, who or what are some of the things, or who are some of the people that you kind of fall back on in those moments of, trial?
Well, obviously, the first one, you always got to lean back on your faith. That's first and foremost. I think that keeps me centered in any times of doubt or anything I'm going through, man. Just lean back on your faith for sure. And I would think, like, outside of that, man, it's just about all the people. I think about all the people that I've lost throughout my life, man. Just all the who I'm with and my purpose. What is my purpose in this life? Obviously, I'm here to do one thing, man. I really want to just impact people, like in a positive manner, man. Like whether that's doing what I'm doing now, or who knows what I'm going to be doing 30, 40 years from now. So I think my faith for sure is number one. The people like who I've lost, obviously, who are not here with me today. I have a lot of pictures in my locker. I keep my father. I have my grandma, uncle. I have a coach that I lost during COVID. All those. I feel like I do it for them, And then obviously my mom. That's a no-brainer. Then
Right.
You just like, I feel like in life you just gotta understand, like, why are you here? Like, it's your purpose. You can't just. I'm not just finna to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have goals and aspirations I want to get to, and I have to stack days in order for me to get to where I ultimately want to be. So that's the main thing.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that.
Yeah, Bryce, going back a little bit to JB. JB's obviously a Y-Town Penguin podcast favorite. We all have, personal connections with JB. And we have a ton of listeners that are really glued into football. So feel free to use as many football drills or terminology as you want to. Don't sugarcoat it or anything. But like, what's JB like as a coach? What's his leadership like? And, talking about how he developed you from college to the NFL. What were some of those specifics that he helped you kind of, I guess, perfect or perfect your craft?
I think the first thing is me, when Coach JB first got here, he held me accountable from day one. It was like one practice. I think he got there in the spring. And I forgot what I did. And like, it was in one-on-ones, and I ran a route the wrong way, depending on a certain coverage. And he like jumped out. He just jumped out like and intercepted the ball, and I'm like furious, like, because it's one-on-ones, and then we just had like an exchange of words. It's like, what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, like, it's football, what I'm saying. And I appreciated what he did because he held me accountable, and me, what I'm saying, ultimately having to do what I have to do and run the route a certain way. So I look back at that when I later on during the season, like, man, he like ultimately had my best interest at heart because he was going to help me accountable. And I think the main thing is, like, going throughout the season, even like it was like 2 games in a row where I didn't even get the ball like that. I think it might have been the stretch of like Illinois State and somebody else after that or before that previously, and that was like 15 yards or 13 yards back-to-back games. You know, stuff like that can like as a receiver, you're like, dang, like I can't even get implemented in the offense, especially like me being like the main guy in the offense. Like it was kind of like weighing on me, and I guess he just like kind of like held me accountable with how to carry myself, like with my body language and things I say to the media or things I say to my teammates, and you know what I'm saying, how to just carry myself. I think those are the biggest things he helped me out with. And then on the field stuff, just learning how to like run the routes a certain way, how to manipulate DBs certain ways, and how to add little tools in my toolbox. He would like to say, those are the three things he always like helped me out with. So I think like he tremendously helped me out and prepared me to get to the next level.
Awesome, man. Real quick follow up. Did you guys ever play basketball 1-on-1? Did he beat you?
Nah, I honestly, like I tried. Like the only time I really like was hooping in Youngstown, it was like during the off season. Like, and I barely like it takes a lot for me to get out of the house. Like when they used to go hoop, man, I'm like, man, like I hoop. Like I got 1 or 2 games in me, but I ain't trying to. I wasn't really trying to get
smart move.
Yeah.
Smart move for sure. Go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, before I ask this last one, I think, Cheryl, you're on it. Start checking that YouTube chat because there's some questions coming in for Bryce that you probably should start lining up. But, Bryce, I always love to ask this of all Penguins. Favorite memory, whether it's on, off the field, funny, serious, what's just one particular memory of your time at Youngstown State that you remember most or cherish the most?
Oh man, I got so many. I would say it's a build up, not even a build up. It's like a whole thing we used to do. I would say my junior year and then my senior year, we would have O-line dinner at what's the restaurant called? Crickets and Struthers. We would do that every Thursday. Man, it was just a good time. We'd play a couple games there. It was just a good time, like good vibes. Be out there. It'll be like in November, and be out there and be outside, sitting in the cold, and just eating chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be times like that, man. And it'd be times like it was a time like I don't think like people know how really close me and Mitch were, what Mitchell and I were. When Thanksgiving came around, my junior year, when we didn't make the playoffs, like I didn't even go home for Thanksgiving. I was able to go home for Thanksgiving. I stayed in the football house where Mitch was, and I literally and I stayed right at the edge, like that was right across the street, and I stayed at Mitchell's house in his room. And just set up my video game, and we just had Thanksgiving like with each other, like you know what I'm saying. Like it was like those little moments. Like I look back and like, dang, like I can never get that back. But I really cherished them during the time we had them for real.
I love that. Where did we get chicken wings at? Lube? What was that Lube place called?
Quaker
State.
Yeah. Austintown?
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah. Bryce, you might have just landed a endorsement deal with Crickets, man. I still live here in Youngstown. I'm about to call that place and just say an NFL dude just gave you a shout out. I mean, we like to think this podcast is nationwide, so I might have to hook you up, man. That was legit. Man.
If y'all watching, man, if y'all in Youngstown, man, go to Crickets.
There you go.
Cut it for him.
Now, easy, man. The MVR is going to ban us. You're not giving the MVR any love, so
MVR
you know.
Fire too. Spicy both times, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Still, YouTube questions. You got any good ones worth getting at?
Yeah, YouTube is on fire. Max Tomzak joining us tonight.
Max,
Bryce,
Max?
he wants to know if you remember. Let me see. What day he couldn't wait for?
Oh my gosh, I'm not answering that. That's just like an inside joke. I can't really say it right here on this. So
that's podcast after
Max,
dark.
drop it.
Yeah,
podcast after
drop
dark.
it in the chat, bro. Why are you trying to set him up like that live on YouTube?
Yeah. That's
Max is trying to kill your endorsement with Crickets, man. Come on, man.
I knew he had something crazy to say. That's why I looked at the camera like that.
Our boy Switka joining us. He wants to know how his boy T Sweat is. Big country. What's he like?
Me and T Sweat are literally next door neighbor. That's crazy you said that. But now T Sweat's a monster, man. Cecil's a good guy, funny guy, and he's killing it on the field. He might end up making all rookie team or something, whatever. I don't know how the NFL does it, but he's definitely going to be on the all rookie team today if he have one. I don't know if they do it now, but he's eating right now, man, for sure.
Let me see if there's another one here. I mean, there's kind of some talk about the season here. No questions.
For Bryce. We'll get to the rest of the chat.
Yeah, we'll get to the season. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's transition. If I can. All right. And Bryce is going to stick around and co-host for us to give his breakdown on the Penguins. He knows these guys very well, so much better than us. So it'd be great to have him alongside on some of these breakdowns. As I mentioned, we missed the last week, so week 10, week 11, both against Illinois schools, Illinois State and Southern Illinois. Illinois State is in the playoff conversation. We are right there with them. Weirdly enough, at the end of the first quarter, it was 2-3, like a baseball score. But then Illinois State scored a touchdown, 9-2, and we never really caught up from there. They ended up with a 23-9 lead, and then in the fourth quarter, Bo throws a touchdown pass to Max Tomczak, 7 yards to really make it look a little closer. But the Penguins lose 23-16. Then Southern Illinois, as the Penguins are up 28-0. Cheryl and I are in Blacksburg, Virginia, looking at a text from Dan Kopp saying, what did it say again? Wait, we're not going to lose this one.
No. I didn't say that. I just said I don't want to say anything. I don't want to jinx us. And
that's
all
all.
You continue to say something.
Put it on me. It's no my.
We didn't have good service at the game we were at, so we couldn't really see the score. But we're like, well, that's good. Anyway, going on. Southern Illinois scores a few more with a halftime score of Youngstown State, 30-12. Things are looking good. However, the Salukis score again, making it 18-30. Penguins score a field goal, 33-18, and that is the end of the third quarter, and also the last time Youngstown State will score. Salukis with 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, a 9-play drive, a 4-play drive, and with 1 minute left, a 20-yard pass to give the Salukis a heartbreaking 37-33 win that we definitely did not see coming. Kurt, you could break down either game, both games. You know what? It's been a little while since the Illinois State game, but what are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, just kind of looking back. I know it was a couple weeks ago, that Ill State game. We didn't score anything. We didn't do anything in the first half. You got to play 4 quarters of football if you're gonna win. We expected that one to be competitive in terms of the measuring stick with where we are with Illinois State. Competitively, recruiting wise, we talked about how we're very similar. And if you take 2 quarters of football and you're not being productive, you're not being efficient. Especially when they're playing for playoffs, they're playing at home. You got to wrap a game like that up, and all of a sudden it's too far and it's out of our reach. Southern Illinois is a completely different beast. We gave Southern Illinois their only conference win of the year so far. We're barely ahead of them in the standings, but looking back at the last 2 weeks, we're now behind Indiana State in the standings. And so when you have a 28 or 27-0 lead in a game like that, Southern Illinois, and then to just offensively kind of fizzle and do nothing the second half, you really got to take a look in the mirror. And I think we're in a really, really tough spot right now as a program because we have some good players. I don't know if we're using all of our good players, and Bryce is probably the best person to talk about this. And if you feel like you're a great player and you're not getting the rock, or if you're not getting involved in the offense, or if you're not getting the reps on defense, we don't know this NIL transfer climate as well as some people do. And when we're having the season that we're having right now and losing the way that you lose after Southern Illinois, it makes coaches question the decisions that they make. It makes players question the decisions that they make. And next thing you know, I don't know who gets called because they're upset about something. And I think after that Southern Illinois defeat, and I don't want to get too negative because we got an awesome, legendary Hall of Famer on here with us tonight in Bryce Oliver, but I think we're in a really tough spot, and to lose a game like that is really going to make a lot of people have a lot of questions, and I don't know what those answers are, but we're in a tough spot, and I know we have another game this week. Just the way that we lost that game felt like, man, we really need to look in the mirror, and that's everywhere. There's no one that shouldn't have a finger pointed at them right now.
And what's crazy is last time we had a podcast, we just upset North Dakota, and the vibes were great on this chat. And then just a couple weeks later, anyway, Bryce, I don't know what your Saturdays are like anymore, if you're able to cash the Penguin games during season. But I know you definitely talk to a lot of the guys on the team still. What are your thoughts on those games that we just had?
I mean, yeah, I get to catch them. I watch them all the time. I think the main thing is, I don't think it's I don't know. Honestly, you can't really put your finger on it because I don't know. Like, I'm not in the huddle, obviously. I don't know what plays are being called and stuff like that. But I think the thing is, it's so hard to win and play like complimentary football when one side of the ball has 20 freaking new transfers. Mm-hmm. It's hard to build camaraderie when you got 20 transfers. I mean, just look at, you can just go back to the spring COVID year when all those guys transferred in. You had Zaire coming from Vanderbilt. You had Linton coming from Florida. Jaleel had just came in. It was, and they ended up going 1-6 in the spring season. So it's very hard to win football games when you got a lot of new guys, new faces. You can't really play for one another when you don't know who you're playing with. You know what I'm saying? So that obviously in that aspect, that takes time just to learn one another. I think we built that over the time that I was there, just learning how to get to know one another and obviously play for one another. That's the biggest aspect, I think, because if you don't know the guy next to you, I'm trying to tell you that goes a long way. So, but in terms of like offensively, man, I just think you just got to play into the strengths of like what you got. Like, obviously they're doing that with Bo. Like, he's using his legs. I mean, I think Max is having a fantastic year. Obviously, one of the productive wide receivers in the Missouri Valley. I just looked up his stats a couple days ago, actually. But I think you got some younger guys though that could really make some plays. You got Cyrus. Obviously, the trail's still there. Just those three guys. I mean, Luke Hensley's there. I think Joy Farthing is battling an injury right now, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. But those guys been there for a little minute, man. It ain't like those guys are new. Cyrus the only one who's relatively like new still. Like, those guys were there when I first got there. So I just think you got a veteran group like that, man. And Bo's obviously, like, if you take sophomore year, what is Bo? Sophomore right now, right?
Sophomore.
If you take sophomore Mitch is not. He would be trash. Like, if not, no offense to Mitch, but Mitch was not ready to play as a sophomore. So I think that takes time too, man. It's just him getting the reps under his belt, man. I think, and then going into the offseason, you get another year with Max, you get another year with Latrell, you get another year with Luke, Cyrus, and then Ty doesn't come back, and Ethan doesn't come back, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so
seniors, both seniors.
You got to either fill that void, or guys got to step up like Cephas, Deshaun. Those guys have to step up. Those guys are getting older too. So it's all about just filling everything out. You get a whole off season. You know what I'm saying? Just implement you can't, because you can't. The team we had is not the same team. I came back from homecoming and I sat there and talked to the team, and I looked to the right of the defensive side. I didn't know one guy outside of the first row. Like, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? So that stuff takes time, man. So I'm just saying, you get a whole offseason for everybody to get to know everything, spend some time, go to the basketball games with each other, do little stuff like that. I think they'll be fine, man, coming next year, man. You just can't really harp on this one season, man, because I'm telling y'all, like, for Coach Phillips' sake, like, it's not easy to win when you got 20 different guys, when you got 20 new guys coming in on one side of the ball specifically, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so. And then you got the whole coaching staff going too on the defensive end too, so that doesn't even make it no better. So that's what I think.
Yeah, we had Ron Strollo on the show in the offseason. That's one thing he said. He said, man, we just wanted to play for the guy next to us, in the playoffs. He's like, we just wanted to win so we could play together again. I mean, you hit it on the head there. It means something. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, little recap of season. Thank you to the Leiden family. I don't think I've had a chance to thank Paul and his family and sponsoring us. And man, Bryce, I think you just nailed some things that we've talked about on the show, or podcast after dark, as we like to call it. And I think, sometimes it means even more coming from you, because you did it. As Kurt mentioned, we also, you're going to be a Hall of Famer someday for YSU. You're in the NFL, and you talked about some things that, we've all talked about is, it's a different era in college football. You're building teams on the fly at times. And, there's, some of the things that, are kind of inexcusable in some senses. When you're losing the turnover margin, it's hard to win games. The Illinois State game, I just don't think we were able to put it away when maybe we had some chances. Maybe that's on our O-line. The SIU loss was gut-wrenching because we're up 28-0. We had almost 500 yards of offense. There's a couple of guys on this show. The rest of us, especially the older guys like me, remember those losses in 2010 when we were up by a couple of scores and lost them late. And the team grew from that, but it was hard. And I think sometimes, the defense, I don't know if there's a loss of confidence at times, because when you're up 28-0, that was the same defense and the same scheme in the first half. Just wasn't the same team. Maybe it's sometimes down the stretch. But all of those things aside, you nailed it. We were, what do we have, 10 new starters on defense? That was talked about back in August. You walked in to speak to the team and you looked to the one side of the room and you knew what, 2 guys? And
I count on my finger.
Yeah, you knew 2 guys, and you talked about the things, going to basketball games. I remember going to hoops games and seeing you and Mitch and all those guys. And Bo's a young guy. We've talked about it. Bo has played 11 games, right? He started 11 games. I appreciate you mentioning that maybe Mitch as a sophomore wasn't Mitch as a senior, so it's never just on one guy. It's never just on, the blame game on a coach or this or that. We're still fighting our ass off. The team, we're just not finishing, and I'm using Coach Phillips' words. I heard him speak about that. So, but man, I appreciate you saying what you said, because you were the guy that was just in that huddle not long ago. You were there when we didn't make the playoffs, and you helped get us back to the playoffs. So it means a lot more coming from you, a guy who just has done it recently, and you stuck with us. I mean, you were in the NIL era, had a chance. I'm sure you had more chances to leave than you had to stay, but you chose to stay here because you were building something. And I mean, you're like a poster child really for what our program, hopefully we can become, that guys like you come and stay. But man, we're in maybe we had that changeover, and these last 2 weeks have been tough, as Sal mentioned, and we all feel it, but I just appreciated to hear what you said, because you're a guy who recently has done it. So that's my view on the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, I had another thing to say. Like, people don't understand. Like, Mitchell won the job. Like, okay, so we're gonna go to Mitchell's sophomore year. His retro sophomore year was the first year when I was there. If you guys don't remember, his first game in was the South Dakota State game. He threw the 2 touchdowns and me, boom. Like, okay, you see a little promise there, but at the end of the day, we had Dimitri, right? So we go into the next season. Mitch he didn't take the job until what game was that? Week 5 or 6? Into his redshirt junior year. Like, that stuff takes time, especially at that position. Like, that stuff that takes time, like, to develop. And he got the time to develop in that specific system under Coach Troy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not making excuses. I see the comments like it's not really an excuse. Like, that's in every level of football. Like, that's the quarterback takes time, like, to learn under a system. Like, the more reps you get, and the more time you get to learn a system, like, the better the quarterback is. That's just a fact. Like, that's not really an excuse.
Yeah, and a last thought is there's no excuses. I don't think we're making excuses. Yeah. We all believe that, and we can talk about the running backs, the line. We got good players. I mean, we're not getting beat. We weren't down 37 nothing and came back and lost 37. It was quite the opposite. So we're not that far away. I mean, we're not sitting here going, oh, shit, man. It's all, But you talking about it, Bryce, I think, means a little more because you just did it, and now you're in the NFL. You're giving us a perspective on an amazing side of both things. That's why it's so cool to have you on here. And I don't think any of us are trying to make excuses, but I think there's also some bright things we can point to, as well as the stuff, as Kurt mentioned. Man, it's hard. It's been tough, but man, we got room to grow. So I'm done.
Stroll, thoughts? What do you think about the games?
So yeah, I got a lot of thoughts. I'm going to try and keep them short. Try and keep them organized in my head. I was listening to the Illinois State game while I was trying to do my leaves. I got about 9 days worth of leaves to do in my yard. But one thing that I heard, we were in the game late. Like there was like 3 change of possessions in like the last 4 minutes of the game, and it was still a 1-score game, and it was unlikely that we were going to win, but there was still an outside chance that we could. And after the way that we had handled business against North Dakota the week before, there was optimism that we could pull something off until Illinois State. I think it was I don't remember the exact call. It was a personal penalty, 15 yards, first down. Illinois State takes a knee, victory formation. Obviously, that is something that drives me wild. Is the unnecessary penalties like that, especially when it costs you a game. It essentially costs you a game. One play cost you the game, took away any opportunity you had to go and finish that game. And then the utter collapse in the second half versus Southern Hill. This is just an immature football team, and I'm not saying it. And that doesn't mean we're a bad football team. The record indicates that we're a bad football team, but that doesn't mean that we don't have talent on this football team. We're immature, and it's what kind of is going to suck a little bit is we basically had our offense minus our quarterback and receiver from last season. We had Tyshawn King. We added Ethan Wright. We had our offensive line come back. Like, we were able to score points, and then you have on the flip side of the other side of the ball, you lose 10 guys in the portal. I called it from the beginning of the season. We're set up to struggle. And, but it seems like both sides of the ball are struggling to figure it out. And I don't know if that's Bo trying to figure out how to run the offense or if it's the play calling to get Bo comfortable. I don't know. We just kind of got to call it objectively, like fans, as we watch it unfold. Ultimately, it's disappointing, but in 2010, we were 3-8. We scored our first touchdown against an FBS opponent in 2010 in 4, 5, 6 years or something like that, right? It was Coach Wolf's first year, and we come home and we beat Southern Illinois, who was the defending conference champs, and so we thought we were in line for a good season there. And to put it in perspective, that Southern Illinois team that we beat the previous season was basically NDSU. Like, they were rolling people. They got upset in the first round of the playoffs in 2009, but we still had them at home. We beat them. And then out of those 8 losses that year, very similar to this team, this year is I think we lost 6 or maybe even 7 of them in the final 2 minutes of the game, where we had a lead or we were in a 1-score game. And then, 6 and 5, we grew as a team. We grew with the coaching staff. And then in 12 and 13, we were 7 and 4 and 8 and 4 respectively. Arguably should have been in the playoffs at 7 and 4 and 8 and 4. Definitely 8 and 4 with a win against Pitt. And still will take it to my grave that we were robbed by the playoff committee that year, because the argument used to be the playoff was not expanded. I look back, it was expanded, and we did not get in. So some similarities there. You know, I don't want to call any specific person out. I don't know the players in the locker room that well. I mean, I was on the sideline for the North Dakota game, and you gotta be confident when you take the field. You gotta respect your opponent, but like there's almost an undeserved cockiness on this team. I feel like that because we were in the playoffs and because we were a part of this team, there's like a cockiness to it, and like from year in to year out, you aren't owed shit, and you have to earn it every single week, especially in this conference. And you know, that's all I want to like. That's all I really got to say. I mean, I think that this team's immature, but that doesn't. I'm not saying that we're not talented. To Bryce's point, I've said it before. It's hard to just gel as a team, as a unit, when you got so many new guys in there. It's a different thing when you got like two seniors on one side of the ball that graduate, and you got a sophomore or a junior that's been in the program with those guys taking their place. What I am concerned about, and Kurt had talked about, I don't know if you mentioned it on the show tonight, or I know he's talked about it in the thread. Who's going to bail? Who's bailing on this team? Who's going to get an opportunity to go somewhere else, and who's going to take it? Who's going to – and, you know, are we right back in square one where we got to rebuild an offense? I mean, are good offensive guys going to go somewhere else for a year, or like the defense last year? So the state of the program is up in the air. I know the chat is not happy. The chat is kind of reflecting what some of the fans are, feeling.
The chat crazy right now. They tripping.
Yeah.
I want to hear Bryce read the
just,
chat. I want to hear Bryce read the chat for us.
And guys,
that Penguin Nation page, I don't know who behind that page, but he been tripping for a little minute, dog.
Yeah.
Hey, it's real simple. I say this much: if someone's on the chat, put your name on it. If you're going to chat, put your name on it. You know, we're here. We're talking, but you know, no hidden. Just put your name out there.
Go on the field and help. Can't none of them go on the field and help. Can't none of them go recruit in Florida or Georgia and go get the players. So what they complaining about? You go do it then. Like I hate you, man. I don't even gonna get on that.
Just so the chat knows, we will never take a stance one way or the other about what the university should do. Okay, all we talk about is the product on the field. Plain and simple is not good enough, and we have the guys that we have. Plain and simple.
Can I say, Coach Phillips? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, but Coach Phillips went on.
Go for it, because I'm thinking about something.
He went on TV. His interview, his press conference said, and all of us know this, and our listen and the chat knows, everyone knows it. But he said this is a outcome-driven business. I mean, you get into coaching, it's one of the few professions that, you know, maybe other than a surgeon, I guess, but every weekend, your performance, it's out there to see. There's a scoreboard, a big old scoreboard, and everyone gets to see it. People can write about it. People can talk about it, but very few. Bryce just nailed it. I mean, few people, they put their, well, I'm going to be a little bit kind of, but they put their neck on the line, and that scoreboard goes up, and you get judged by the wins or losses, right? I mean, so but I get it. The chat's fired up.
So the one thing that I want to, my last kind of thought is, you know, we are close. We are like a piece or two away from being an okay team. Okay. We've lost some close games to arguably bad teams. So I still think that we are far from where we want to be. And I'm talking about competing with North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and now we'll see how South Dakota continues their success. But like we're far away from those teams. Like we're not close, and we got to figure out how to get there. And I don't know.
Well, with that losses, that puts the Penguins at a 2-5 conference record, 3-8 overall. That is 8th place of 11 in the conference. Just to update on the Missouri Valley Football Conference standings, North Dakota State and Missouri State, both 6-0, are on top, and they play each other this weekend. Potentially is a conference championship game. North Dakota State playoff team. As we know, Missouri State not eligible for the playoffs. South Dakota State, South Dakota, and Illinois State are 3, 4, and 5, are probably in the playoffs if they can all win out. Mostly Illinois State needs to win out. And then you have Indiana State and North Dakota just sitting there in the middle at 3-3 and 2-4. So that is where the conference stands now. Just going back to some of these games from 2 weeks ago, hats off to Searle. He did pick most of them. So going into this last week now, that puts me, Dan, Kurt tied, and Searle back within one. So he can, we'll give him an opportunity to call a money line for 2 points, hopefully win the crown on this last pick.
Well, we got next week. We can call next week's Missouri Valley games too. So, I mean, we're not playing, but we can call next week's games.
We're good. And hats off to Ricky Davis. The final score was Illinois State 23, Penguins 16. Ricky Davis had a 27-17 score prediction. Pretty darn close. Last Saturday, just to recap how everything went as we talked about in detail, Youngstown State, Southern Illinois won 37-33. Illinois State at Northern Iowa, who we're playing, Illinois State wins big 31-9. Indiana State gets smoked at South Dakota 49-0. Missouri State at Murray State, Missouri State 59-31, and South Dakota State at North Dakota. South Dakota State wins comfortably 38-7. We're ready to move on to next week?
I guess.
All right, your Youngstown State Penguins this Saturday, November 16th, host Northern Iowa at the Ice Castle. It's going to be at 52 degrees, partly sunny on ESPN Plus. Just to give you an idea of how the season's been going for you and I, it's been a very weird one to say the best. They start off 2-0 with wins over Valparaiso and St. Thomas, Minnesota. Then they've gone on to a losing streak of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game losing streak since September 7th. They've lost to Nebraska, Hawaii, South Dakota State, South Dakota, North Dakota, Missouri State, North Dakota State, Illinois State, and they have 2 games left on the schedule. As I mentioned, they come to the Ice Castle at noon, and then they have Indiana State. So they're definitely trying to bounce back before the end of the year. Some quick, fast facts about the Northern Iowa, Youngstown State. I'd like to say it's a rivalry. If we pick any team in our conference, it could be the rivalry. But Northern Iowa has the edge. We are 9-26 overall against this team. Not sure how. But one good thing is, of those 9 wins we've had, 6 of the 9 were at home, as we are 6-10 against them at home. Just a few classic games. I'm not going to bore everyone, but there's some classic Northern Iowa games I want to recap.
Come on, Sal.
One
Really?
is,
Come on.
2016, Penguins. Looks like the Penguins were up 14-12, and really the Penguins lost the lead, took the lead with a let's see here, it's a touchdown rush to take the lead 20-19, and then with no time left, Northern Iowa kicks a field goal with no time left to win, 22-20. 2012. Oh, I'm sorry. That was 2013. I'm sorry, not 2016. 2012. We all remember
Thanks,
that
Sal.
game.
I remember that game.
That was that the rain out game, or it was raining.
No, Sal.
Rain delay.
No.
Rain delay.
2013
removed all
was
of these from my
at
head.
Northern Iowa. 2013.
Right.
2012 was the rain delay.
So 2012 rain delay. That game ended close to midnight. Penguins won 42-35. There's a lot of scoring going back and forth. Looks like it was tied going to the fourth quarter. UNI takes the lead 35-28. Youngstown State comes back and scores 2 late touchdowns in the fourth quarter to win 42-35. 2010, another classic, as Cyril alluded to, a lot of last-second losses. And on this one, Penguins were up, and looks like Northern Iowa scores a touchdown, one play, 19 yards, 7 seconds to win the game, 34-30. And then lastly, 2008, Dan, if you remember, Northern Iowa flew in Saturday, the day of the game. They flew in straight from the airport, went to the Ice Castle, walked off the bus. They were up 21-14. Penguins score a last-minute touchdown to potentially tie it, but we missed the extra point. UNI hops back right on the plane with a 21-20 victory. So there have been some true heartbreakers against these guys. I think it's safe to say we hate them probably more than anyone in the conference. Kurt, what are your thoughts on UNI in this game?
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead, Bryce. Bryce, give us.
No way. Did I hear they flew in the day of the game and went straight to the field and won the game?
Yes.
Away game?
Not on the roster then. Well, I was not on the
That
roster.
was my freshman year. They were like top 10. And you remember that, Dan? They were top 10.
I'm going to call a timeout here. I'm going to call a timeout because I don't want to give any of this stuff to the Panther podcast or whatever's out there. Come on, Sal. What are you doing? You brought this up. Bryce almost fell out of his chair. Bryce was like, look at me, he's heartbroken. I mean, but we did this history. We went back history. You're just you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're the host. You're trying to fire up the chat. You're trying to fire up the alumni, and y'all, you just broke hearts, man. I mean,
I think I got Dan fired up.
I know, man. I don't want to hear about this history. We're talking about this Saturday, man. We're talking about practice, man.
What do you got, Kurt?
Are we talking UNI this year now? All right. UNI can't seem to get anything going offensively. On paper, we should still beat this team, even though we've had a little bit of our rough patch here. They're giving up about 33 points a game. Once again, I think we'll probably have the best athlete on the field. And what I would really love to see and what I think is going to help our program is him distributing the ball to the playmakers that we have on the outside. I think Bryce mentioned those guys. Getting the ball to Cyrus Traw a little bit. Latrell, if he's still in the game, I know Coach Cobb loves when we use our tight ends. But we're not going to have Tyshawn next year. We're not going to have Ethan next year. Let's get them the ball. Let's get the ball to our playmakers on the outside. Let's see what we have on the outside. We hope that nobody's leaving. You know what I mean? Like, we hope nobody's getting that call. We hope these guys are in it for the long haul. Bryce mentioned it a little bit earlier. When you got playmakers on the outside who know that they're playmakers and they're competitors and they can't help the team win, that weighs on them. It's tough. I mean, he mentioned that 2-game stretch he had last year that we probably talked about on this podcast. 2 catches, 13 yards, 2 catches, 20 yards. Like, that's not enough for a baller or a competitor or somebody who's used to making plays. So let's give those guys opportunities this weekend. UNI, like I said, they're giving up about 33 points a game. Let's end the season on a positive here. And I don't know what the best time is to do this, but man, I can't go without saying, like, Jason Williams last week, 50th start in his career. Sam Merriman, long snapper, 50th start in his career. Aiden Parker this coming weekend, 50th start of his career. or 50th game, maybe. I don't know if those are starts. I thought they were starts. Talking about Jay Will and Sam Merriman, their first start was North Dakota State back in it might have been it was 2021. So you're talking February. I think it might have been February 2021. It was a long time ago.
Right.
These guys have been playing for a long time, and Searle and Bryce, you guys played real positions during practice where you actually got hit and stuff. So you know how hard it is to go through practices. You know how hard it is to go through one game and you're sore for the week, right? These guys have put their bodies on the line for 50 games. And, got to tip our hats to them, tell them thank you, because, this is the stuff that goes down, in history. And I think the record when we got out was like 46 or 47 games. And we got 3 guys on this roster who've played for YSU, for the university, for the program for 50 games. And, of course, I want to win this game. But, man, let's get those seniors. Let's get those guys who put their bodies on the line. Let's let them leave this program on a positive, on a high note, beating a team that has given it to us for a long, long time. And man, I would play for those 3. I would play for those guys this weekend. Everybody, and play one more time with your boys. That's really what it's all about. And I'd love to finish this up with a win.
Thank you, Curdy. Bryce, thoughts on Northern Iowa in the game this Saturday?
I know I haven't really gotten to watch them play. I think I watched one game when they played North Dakota State. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what they played. But honestly, man, it's the last game of the season. You're not playing for the playoffs. Like this game can be used as to send the like Kurt said, to send the seniors off the right way and ultimately catapult yourself into a next season. Like it just could be like when we played Southern Ill in 21, we didn't end up getting the playoffs that year, but shoot, like that's your promise, man. Like we beat a potentially playoff team. You know what I'm saying? We thought we were supposed to be a playoff team as well, but that's when we catapulted ourselves into a great offseason and ultimately to a playoff year, man. So just using this game in the right manner, like approaching it the right way, you know what I'm saying? Seniors ending off the right way, and you know what I'm saying, for the younger guys, man, just use this game to catapult yourself into the next season, into an offseason, to a next season.
It spot on. The vibes when you win the last game of the season, they carry on for months. So solid point. Dan, I know I got you all fired up, but what do you think?
Yeah, Sal, you love to get me on those old UNI history stuff there. That's because you and I weren't sleeping those nights during those days with the staff. But Kurt, you nailed it, man. Kurt gives some great. He's our pregame speech guy on here, Bryce. In case you didn't know, I mean his talk there about doing this for the seniors. There's 12 of them, I think, and playing your ass off for those guys to send them out on the right way. This is Mark Farley's last season. He announced his retirement, I think, a week or so ago. So this will be his last trip here. So you talk about emotion. I'm sure he's going to have his group. They're trying to play this last, 2 weeks for him. But Bryce talked about, we've all talked about it. We got guys playing for our seniors in our season, and we can't turn the ball over. I think that's number one. We all know that. We can't go out there and turn the ball over because they're going to be playing for pride just like we are. I'm hoping that obviously we can send our seniors out the right way. They're probably, they're going through senior tackle or whatever tradition I'm sure Coach has here in the next night or two. And I'm sure they're going to play like it's, for some of them, it is the last time they're going to play any kind of football. And then I think you always ask, Sal, what are we looking at? What's our focus? For me, it's plain and simple, our offensive line. They were the strength of the team this year going into the season. We've scored a bunch of points at times, but to put a team away, I'll be watching them throughout the whole game. That are we getting movement? And if we do get up, which I expect us to in that second half, can we get a drive where we finish them off? Where we go for the kill and finish a deal, and instead of being up 10, go up 17, or hopefully it's something like that, and finish the game the right way. So my sole focus is on the offensive line. Can they dominate the game?
Cheryl, thoughts?
Yeah, so Coach Kopp mentioned Farley is retiring at the end of the season. He's been there for 24 years. got 7 conference titles. He is 116-65 in Missouri Valley football play, and he is 20-4 versus YSU. And like I said, I hate Northern Iowa more than I hate the Dakotas. I look at last year's game that was back and forth, and I thought that everything was set up for us to finally beat the brakes off of them last year. Thankfully, Kurt and I got a win against them our junior year. We had the heartbreak our senior year. But I'll say this: I don't care if they're pretty dang close to being 0-10 right now. I don't care if they're 0-10 and we're undefeated. Northern Iowa has it ingrained in that program that they can beat YSU any day of the week. Like Sal said, they flew in on a Saturday, walked into the stadium, beat us, jumped on a plane, went home, and partied. I would like to think that we're going to play for our seniors. I would like to think that we're going to get a heavy dose of Tyshawn and Ethan. But man, I don't know. I don't know what team we're going to get. Are we going to get a team that plays 2 quarters, or are we going to get a team that plays 4 quarters? So really, we got to play 4 quarters. We got to grow. We got to figure out, what the next step of this program is going to be and how we want to go into the off season, because I called it at the beginning of the year. The bye week was set up for us to fail. We had no rest. We had no chance to recover at any point of the season. And other people were saying, oh, it'll be a nice built-in bye week for the playoffs. Well, we're not going to the playoffs. So our season ends this Saturday. And what are we going to take into the offseason? Are we going to take disastrous fourth quarter losses, or are we going to, run a high note and take a win into the offseason? I don't expect this Northern Iowa team to lay down. They got to finish with us in Indiana State. And I would like to think that, a guy like Mark Farley is going to try and coach his guys to get 2 more wins. Matt said, he was quoted in saying, let me see. Matt's, I lost it in the chat. The purity of college football is gone. And, there is some truth to that. I think Mark Farley's an old school coach. Nick Saban's an old school coach. It's just a shame that he's not going to get to go out on the high that Nick Saban went out on. So, man, I don't know. This season, I guess that's the next segment, but this season just kind of was a disaster from start to finish, and it started with the Duquesne game.
Well, I see some score predictions in the chat, so then we want to rattle those off.
Let me just make sure I don't miss any. 2, 3, 4. So Jason Crum has YSU winning 28-24. Richard Wolf has YSU winning 42-21. Youngstown Original has UNI winning 27-24. Demo 98 has YSU winning 31-28. Chase Zalesnak, sorry if I butchered that there, my guy, has YSU winning 38-27, and Metzinger has the Penguins winning 28-27.
Okay. Well, let's get into our predictions for the rest of the week that is coming this Saturday. Bryce, you okay to partake in this?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll just answer in this order: myself, Kurt, Dan, Stroll, and then Bryce. Just say who you think is going to win the game and if you think they will cover. Game that we've been talking about, Northern Iowa is at Youngstown State at noon. Youngstown State is a 12.5-point favorite. Love to see it. Man, I think Northern Iowa sucks. I think we're going to win and cover.
Yeah, I got win and cover. We're going to
True.
finally play a 4-quarter football game.
Yeah.
I got that's a Vegas line minus 12.5, or is that a Tampa, Florida line?
No, it's a line. It's not for
Okay.
me.
All right. Give me the Penguins and giving those points. I see us winning by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Northern Iowa with the points. Just history says that they're gonna be a thorn in our side. So Northern Iowa with the points. I think we're gonna win the game. I mean, I think our offense is definitely gonna take it to them, but I don't know, man. I say we win by like 10.
What do you think, Bruce?
It's kind of tough. Does anybody have you and I's rushing stats? Season rushing stats? Like what they average? No?
Ooh. I didn't even look that one up.
Not much. They're not scoring a lot.
They're not scoring a lot?
They're not scoring a lot.
Okay. It's a little different when it's a rivalry game. So I don't think we cover, but I'll go YSU like 17-14. Low scoring game.
17-14. So you're taking Northern Iowa on the points.
Yeah. As long as we win, I don't care about the points.
Yeah, that's a
Illinois
good point.
State
A
is
win's
at-
a win.
Illinois State is at Indiana State, 1 p.m. Illinois State is a favorite on the road, minus 6.5 points. I do think Illinois State is going to win because they're going to have to win to make the playoffs, but Indiana State at home is good when they're at home. I think they'll cover the points. I'll take the Sycamores on the points.
I'll take Illinois State to win and cover.
Yeah, I'll stick with Illinois State to win and cover.
Yeah, give me the Redbirds are fighting for the postseason. I think they know what's at hand, so I think they'll cover.
Yeah. Same. I think Illinois State will cover too.
Man, so I'm on my own.
What's
Yeah,
Illinois
for the
State-
record,
what's Illinois State
there is no monetary value on any of this winning.
Oh,
by the way.
Correct.
No monetary value.
no.
This is clear for fun, just for the
Yes.
record.
Well,
I
just
mean, no
going
one
back-
listens to our picks anyways. I mean, what the hell? I mean, yeah.
Hey, just going back real quick on when we were talking about Northern Iowa and the points they scored. Just in this 8-game losing streak, they scored 3 point, 7 point, 3 point, 17, 7, 42, 19, and 9. So besides Missouri State letting up 42 points to them and losing anyway, yeah, they don't score. Anyway, back to the picks. South Dakota, Cheryl's boys are at North Dakota, 1 p.m. South Dakota on the road is the favorite, minus 6.5. I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to eat my words. I'm taking South Dakota.
Yo.
Yeah, North Dakota was that bad, and I like how South Dakota is Cyril's boys all of a sudden. He goes out there.
He goes on their
Where's that
podcast.
from?
He parties
give me
with
the
them.
give me the Yotes to cover.
Yeah. Sal, that was. I'm glad you ate your words. I mean, I was waiting for you to say they stink and they wouldn't cover. So thanks. I say the Yotes win big. Big.
North Dakota sucked this year or something?
They did not look good against
No.
us, man.
I know.
And they didn't look good. And they lost to Indiana State the next week, too.
After us?
Yep.
Yeah.
After us, they lost to Indiana State.
So what's the overall record
So
right
I'm going to
now?
have
They might be 6-4 or 5-4, something like that.
I think they're
they're
5-5
5-5 right now.
5-5.
What's South Dakota?
South Dakota's 7-2, 5-1 in conference.
And they playing at South Dakota.
North Dakota.
No, not North Dakota.
2 dome
Yeah.
teams.
Give me South Dakota. UND has lost 3 in a row. Make it 4. And, the Yotes will cover.
I'll take South Dakota. Yeah, I'll take South
Yeah.
Dakota. 7-2. Yeah.
Everyone. Well, the bottom dwellers of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, Murray State is at Bryce's boys, Kentucky. They're going to be on the SEC Network Plus at 1:30. Kentucky is a minus 46.5 favorite, and as bad as their offense is, missing Leon Cohen, of course, They're gonna cover that.
46 points.
That's a
46 and a
ton of
half.
points.
Jeez Louise.
I love it.
I'm gonna take Murray State with the points just because of Bryce's reaction.
Dang.
46 and a half is a ton of points.
What?
It's
Does
Murray
anybody
State,
remember
man.
what the spread was when we played Ohio State last year? What was this? What was that spread?
29 and a half.
It was like
28.
34 or something.
I think it
it was-
was 28, and we lost by 21, right? No,
I know.
Yeah.
I know we covered though.
We
yeah, we
covered,
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see Kentucky beating them people by 40-something points. I don't see.
This is Murray State. They might enforce the skunk rule.
Kurt, did you make a pick, Kurt?
Yeah, I took Murray State with the points because Bryce's reaction made me laugh. So
Yeah.
I don't want to see Kentucky cover that.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had a line like this. Can I tease this down or something? Is there a teaser special out there? Man, I don't know. This is like a Youngstown thing though. So I mean, Murray State, man, I guess they're that bad. I'm gonna roll with Kentucky. I don't know if Mark Stoops will try and hang 50 on someone just to maybe keep his guys healthy. But Buff will. Okay, that's right, Bryce. You know that Buff will try and hang 60. You know, Buff might have a set. I'm gonna stop right there. Yeah, give me Kentucky.
Dang.
Man, Kentucky beat Southern Miss 31-0. I think they didn't even play the fourth quarter because of the lightning or something like that. And then they beat Ohio 41-6. Ah, man. Is there enough time in the game to score 50 plus points? That's over 6 touchdowns to win by. Give me Wolf and the boys to cover.
What do you think, Bryce?
46 points is a lot of points, dog.
But I don't see Murray State stopping Kentucky on any drives. Kentucky will not.
I'm trying to remember. I think we played Murray State when I was at Kentucky. I think we did, and I don't think we had. I think we had a better team than we did than what they have now. I think. I'll take Murray State with them. I ain't gonna lie.
It's an interesting game. We'll have to keep our eyes on. Southern Illinois Salukis are at South Dakota State, 3 p.m. South Dakota State is a minus 23.5 favorite. That is also a lot of points, but they are at home. I'm going to take the Jackrabbits at home, win and cover.
Jacks, win and cover.
Jacks roll. I'd give 30 in this game.
Who they play?
Wow.
The Salukis.
Southern Ill.
Oh,
I'll take the Jacks with the points.
same. I don't even.
What is looking to be a conference championship game, Missouri State 6-0 is at North Dakota State, also 6-0 in the conference. 3:30 p.m. North Dakota State is a minus 17.5 favorite. I don't think I've picked against the Bison yet this year. I'm going to take them to win and cover.
Curdy's on. Curdy got a call, so
Go ahead, Dan.
I'll jump in here. Yeah, give me the Bison. I love Bryce's reaction. Bryce, you got to just be our celebrity guest picker like every week, man. But yeah, Missouri State is undefeated in the conference. Hard to believe, but yeah, give me the Bison. They're going to roll. I think they're going to roll.
Sure.
Man, other than the Northern Iowa game, I'm pretty sure Missouri State has 18 in points is a lot. Give me man.
It's a game to stay away from.
I don't want to pick against the Bison, especially in the Fargo Dome, but I mean Missouri State ineligible for the postseason.
This is their Super Bowl.
This is their Super Bowl, man. Like,
It's a good point.
give me Missouri State with the points. I don't know if they'll get the win, but I think they're going to keep it interesting.
Bryce.
In North Dakota?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. I don't know, man. Missouri State still got the same roster from last year? It can't be.
They're really good this year.
Well, their quarterback was hurt last year, remember?
Yep.
So he's back.
Who was the
They're scoring some points. They're scoring points.
Who was their quarterback?
I forget his name. He was the Minnesota transfer.
He can sling it.
Yeah.
Minnesota transfer? I thought a Minnesota transfer played for UNI or something like that. Illinois State, whatever.
No.
I'm going with North Dakota State, man. I don't play with them. I don't like them. I'll take them.
Curdy, what do you think?
I think Missouri State will hit some explosive plays. They got some explosive players. They won't win the game, but give me Missouri State with the points. I think they'll put up 21 points, and so for North Dakota
Jacob Clark
State,
is.
Go ahead.
Jacob Clark is Missouri State's quarterback. He is completing 73% of his throws, and he's thrown for 25 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. So he's pretty decent with the rock in his hand. Like I said, I think not going to the postseason. I think they're going to, keep it interesting, try and get a conference championship.
That's right. I feel like it's been forever since we played Missouri State. I forgot.
And we almost had them. So
yeah,
at third place.
Let's transition. Just real quick, guys, as Cheryl alluded to, we're going to have a whole episode this offseason recapping the whole year. Just real quick, 15, 30 seconds, just 1-2 words or sentences, I guess. Thoughts of the season overall. I don't want to end on bad vibes, but Curdy, what's your take on the season as we go into the last game here?
Did you say 1 to 2 words or 1 to 2 sentences?
Well, it's somewhere in between the two.
Okay. Thoughts on the season? Sucks. Yet to be seen. Like, I think we have a lot of untapped potential. Sorry, I should have just stopped with yet to be seen. That was the assignment. My bad. I think we have a lot of untapped potential. We've seen glimpses everywhere at every position group, but I don't know that we've seen it, whether that's players, whether that's coaches, or whether that's just opportunity against teams. So yet to be seen.
Bryce, real quick, what do you think?
I would say one word I would use to describe the season is I'm not gonna give one word. I'm gonna say I don't even know. Like I can't even put into words. Like obviously it's disappointing, like from going to a playoff team to now, but I would just say finish. Like the one word I would say use for this season is finish. Like you don't understand how much value that word has until like you're in a position to do something like this. Just finish, man. Like that's all I gotta say. Like I don't know.
Dan?
Couple of words: Duquesne, Missouri State, Illinois State, and SIU. We could be talking a lot different if those 4 games, which we should have won. Not all we could have won. We should have won. So those 4, and then I got my last word is where's our next Bryce Oliver? Our portal. We're gonna have to get some dudes. So
Max Tomzak, man. What are you talking about?
Well, Max isn't Max done? Isn't Max a senior?
No, he's a junior.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
My into the program. I'm counting.
Yeah, my bad, Max. My bad. I'm old, man. I'm old. I forgot. So, yeah, we'll be all right. We're going to be all right. We'll be just fine.
Cyril, I got the timer set for you.
All right. So to sum up this season, I'm going to say it's a shame. The season has been a shame. And, a lot of I think that, in preseason, I had this team going 6-6. I thought the talent was there, but I think that we have more question marks going into the offseason than we initially thought. So disappointing is an understatement.
I'm going to do a 180 on you guys and just say I think, with the exception of a few seasons, this is the same Youngstown State of the last 15 or so years, which is right there with everyone in the conference. We could beat everyone in the conference except North Dakota State and South Dakota State are still on another world that we have yet to enter. And this team we had could beat everyone on the schedule except for Pitt, but except for those two Dakota teams. How can we get to that level is the question mark. But I'm not as disappointed. Like Dan rattled off, there are just a few games that went the wrong way, and other than that, we're still just short of being where the Dakotas are. Curdy, any Instagram comments, questions? Cheryl, YouTube comments, questions before we try to lock things up?
No, I'm gonna just if I can get this started, I know that we all kind of just want to say thank you to Bryce and take this opportunity to do that. And Bryce, just texting with you a little bit today. I know you linked up with Searle a little bit at the tailgate. It's amazing how quickly Youngstown Brotherhood can kind of be connected, right? Like just by texting you a little bit and hearing you talk tonight, it's like, man, we were all in the same locker room, we were in the same stadium, and you can call me for anything, and it sounds like we can hit you up and you can come on our show. So, the brotherhood runs deep in Youngstown, and we appreciate you coming on, man.
I'm going to leave chat where it's at. I mean,
it's on fire.
Yo.
It's very, very heated and, with reason. I'm just, I'm not going to say I disagree with it completely. So,
I mean, like,
yeah, man.
It says YSU is way short of top teams everybody in the country is worse. Everybody in the country is not equivalent to South Dakota State and North Dakota State. Every other team, I don't understand. Like, what are they trying to say?
But that's so it's with that being said, like in the defense of that statement is like, okay, are we going to be satisfied with getting a little bit better and being, able to beat the teams in the conference, but like be nowhere close to North Dakota State and NDS or North Dakota State and South Dakota State? Like, we have not figured out how to get over that hump. Like, we've had good teams, but like we're still very far off from those teams. And how they do it year in and year out, where, my beef with some of the things is like, we have a good team and then we take a step back and we got to like rebuild, where these teams, it doesn't matter who year in and year out, they're always in the postseason. There's a standard there. And if you go to play there and you see the field, that's the standard. And I mean, it's hard. Someone has to take responsibility for that, whether it's the roster next year to start that or what. So I understand where he's coming from. I understand that we are close to being decent, but we are far away from where we want to be nationally. And that's where the frustration from the fans sets in. And me being one of them, me being a former player is, it still pisses me off that we fell short of that standard, and I don't get any more opportunities to do that. And for the guys on the roster, you only get a couple cracks at it, and then you graduate, and boom, they're on to the next set of kids. So make a name for yourself. If you're on the roster next year, do something.
Dan, any shout outs, any high school guys in state championships? I'm not sure how high school's moving along over there.
Yeah, we got 4 former Penguin players / coaches left in the playoffs. Still got a couple weeks to go, but Dan Reardon at Ursuline, they're still rolling. David Rock, our guy D Rock, South Range, they're undefeated still. Sean Guerrero, Springfield local, they're still in it. And Timmy Tyrrell at Akron Hoban, still in it. We had a couple of guys, got beat last week. And one more thing about Bryce. Bryce worked at the company I worked last summer or the summer before his senior year. And, it's evident why a guy like him is in the NFL. I remember when scouts would come around the program and ask about guys. It wasn't always just what they did on the field. How were they in the classroom? How were they with people around the building? And how were they when they worked the job? And I'm not just saying that because Bryce is on here, but he was the leader of that group of YSU players that were there working. And it's not easy work, but he was there. He showed up every day. And he's shaking his head. Yeah, he knows it was hard. But he showed up every day. He led that group. He conducted his business like a professional. And congrats to you, Bryce. We're proud. We're proud as heck of you. And, man, thanks for being here with us.
Anytime, man. We got to get back on. Me and Mitch. We got to get me and Mitch back at the same time.
At the same time, absolutely. And like Kurt said, as a fellow Floridian Penguin, anytime you need anything, let me know. And I'm sure everyone echoes. Any last words you have, Bryce, for Penguin Nation?
Yeah, I got to shout out to one of the YSU guys, man. He doesn't really get a lot of credit, man. Brendan Kilpatrick, man, you're killing it.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, personally, Bo, you've been hooping, like you've been doing good, but Brand's my MVP man of the year. I'm sorry, man, but
Love that.
he's my MVP of the year. Shout out to Brandon.
He might be punting in the league someday. He might be punting in the league someday, right?
100%. He will be playing on Sundays. Like,
love it.
So,
love it.
Yeah.
Love
Shout
it.
out to
All
Brendan
right.
Kilpatrick, man.
Well, let's lock it up. We're ready to lock it up?
There.
Get up.
Let's do it. Well, again, you have been listening to the Youngstown Penguin Football Podcast. Please follow us on Instagram, Whitetown Penguin Podcast. We are on YouTube Live, 7:30 on Wednesdays. Follow the Instagram to see when we will be on, because this off season we will be spotty. We'd love to hear from any alums on football players, any legends. Please reach out to Kurt on that Instagram page so we can have some interviews and get to know all the Penguins and get you on the show. Love to have Bryce, of course, and any other Penguin like that. We'd love to have you on. Please, we are on podcasts where podcasts are found. Please give us a 5-star review and share with any friends you can. But again, Youngstown State is hosting you and I this Saturday at noon. But as always, I am your host, Sal Guerrero. That's Kurt Hess. That's Kyle Searle. That's Dan Kopp. That's Bryce Oliver. And as always, go Penguins.